Gangs of London. Gangs of London is an action crime drama show created and directed by Welsh filmmaker Gareth Evans, the same creator of the Raid franchise. Gangs of London tells the story of London being torn apart by turbulent power struggles of its international gangs and the sudden vacuum that's created when the head of London's most powerful crime family is assassinated. Starring Joe Cole as Sean Wallace and Sope Dirisu as Elliot Finch. Oh boy. This is going to be one of my most in-depth, most passionate reviews that I have done for the channel. And stay to the end of this video because I want to make a couple of announcements that I will be making and things that will be coming to the channel. So if you are somebody that knows of Gareth Evans, you would know that his work is not for the faint-hearted. So his content is basically made for people with testicles the size of my head and ovaries the size of my head. And if you are of the faint-hearted, I do suggest that you stick to watching Powerpuff Girls. Now, with that being said, you're probably wondering, what did I think of Gangs of London? Now, in the famous words of JJ Odetunji, Jesus! Bruv, it's absolute mastery storytelling and some of the best directed, choreographed hand-to-hand fight scenes that you are going to see the entire year. It's going to be incredibly hard. Let me just emphasize that for you. Incredibly hard to top the level of intricacy and the level of skill and attention to detail that went into this show in the front of the action. This show, and I want to say as well, I think I want to talk about some of the points before we get into action and character development and those type of things, but the visual effects that are in this show is the same visual effects that you would get with any high octane action piece that you would get at watch in the cinema. It's hard to it's crazy that we're now getting these type of visual effects within TV, and I think that is absolutely phenomenal. And I just want to give props to Gareth Evans and the story that he told within Gangs of London. Now, I've always seen Gareth Evans as a filmmaker that more often than not, well, the way that he started was that he used the formula of style over substance, meaning that at the very most, when you'd watch any of his films, you would get a three-dimensional protagonist, and then the conflict would kind of suit around the narrative, and it would be all guns blazing, we're going ahead with the story. And I think it's absolutely amazing, especially for myself, having watched the Raid movies and seeing his progression going into TV and just seeing how much he's learned from that time till now. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Now, when I say phenomenal, we could see that within the Raid 2 that he was working on character development, character arcs, and still sticking to his roots of creating three-dimensional characters. But now it was a thing of that he really did immerse himself in the storytelling within Gangs of London, and I think he's been wanting to make a style of this show for a very long time, because I was taken back when I was watching the show, I didn't expect him to go in that route. I wasn't expecting first-person ideologies. I wasn't expecting three-dimensional characters. I was expecting three-dimensional characters, and then that's it. We're going gun-ho. He's created every single character as three-dimensional. So therefore, meaning when you get into the action, you are feeling it balls to the wall. Or what have you, you know, it goes absolutely ballistic, but it feels earned. None of the action feels misplaced or the pacing feels off, you know what I mean? And, you know, he done a great job. And when I talk about character development, especially between the characters of Sean and Billy, that episode in particular, I don't know. I really, hand on heart, I don't know whether I'm going to see that style of filmmaking with TV and film for the rest of the year. What this show achieves in episode 4 in the last 15 minutes is fucking legendary, and it should not go past anyone. The writing. In the space of 15 minutes, I experienced hidden subtext exposition, first person ideology, three-dimensional characters, character development in 15 minutes with conflict, and especially if you know, if you've watched it and you saw just the culmination of the conflict. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And then episode 5 happened, and I haven't had as much fun since last year watching Avengers Endgame. The last 30 minutes of Avengers Endgame. It was the same experience of fun I had with episode 5. Yeah. Gareth Evans is the gift that keeps on giving. And Sope Dirisu, his character arc as Elliot in this show is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. You can't disregard it. I just think this show deserves all the praise. I want people to watch this show to spread the word and so on and so forth. Now, there is a thing that with this show, a lot of people, like I said at the beginning of this review, feel a little bit off-put with the violence that comes with this show. Now, I understand that notion. Everyone's kind of entitled to their opinion. But I feel like I feel like when you depict the cycle of violence, if anything, when I was seeing the violence in the show, I was like, hell the fuck no, I want to stay away from these type of people. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel it's glorified, or I don't think it's, you know, it would be glorified if it never had the in-depth character study that Gareth Evans has given to his characters. Then it would not feel earned to be doing the type of content or the type of choreographed scenes that he wants to do, you know. And yeah, the cycle of violence is kind of like, you know, you may feel, it's the kind of idea that you may feel the redemption in that moment, but you see it with characters, especially with Billy, with all of them. They feel the redemption of violence in that moment, but after that moment's gone, it's only despair and dread. And I felt like Gareth Evans, he captured that amazingly. But man, I mean, I didn't watch this show once. I didn't watch it twice. I watched it 3 times. That's how much I really love this show. I done the Lionel Messi hat-trick on this show. And man, let me just run the gauntlet on you, man. If you're a fan of action, look, you got Kurdistan gangsters, Irish gangsters, Welsh gypsies, Albanians, Nigerians, Chinese. It's insane. The level, the vast world that is within Gangs of London is absolutely crazy, and there's so much going on. And okay, this is another thing that I want to touch upon for you. Now, a lot of people could feel like, a lot of fans will feel like this could be possibly a copy and paste of to a certain extent it is with the action. But so I've given props to Gareth Evans and the storytelling that he's given to the show. But one thing this guy, man, that he just gets is his direction. His direction is absolutely immaculate. So if you'd watched any of the raids and you watched the character of Rama played by Iko Uwais, you would know that he's kind of got like the Muay Thai fighting style, the Pinchat Salat, you know, and there's almost like the way that he fights in the raid is almost elegant and it feels like a dance and so on and so forth. But when you flip the coin and you look at Gangs of London and you especially see the fight scenes that involve Elliot, and you see what Sope Dirisu has to do, you know, I love. So you had Muay Thai, Pinchat Salat for Rama, and the fighting style for Elliot in this show is completely different to anything we've seen in the raid or Marintal. You know, he adopts his. I just love it because he adopts a boxing style, you know, and what's so intriguing to watch him do these fights, like when there's about 6 other guys there, fundamentally you think about boxing as, let me jab, let me move, let me slip, let me dodge. But what's so great to watch with this character is that he doesn't throw no jabs. I've watched the majority of the fights. He don't throw no jabs. He's just straight thrown hooks, uppercuts. He's trying to get these lot out of there in the quickest amount of time because he knows the next guy's going to come and try and kick his ass. And it's so intriguing to watch because let's say if that game plan goes out the window completely, right? Elliot in this show is a fucking dirty fighter. Like, you know, if the game plan's gone out the window, he'll pick up the nearest chair, you know, throw it on the geezer's head. Like he'll go and he'll pick up like a glass bottle or something, you know. And it really does show the animalistic style to it, you know. Because I think most people depict fighting as like this one-on-one thing, but no, when you're in the outside realm, man, the outside world, all bets are off, all shit kicks off. You're allowed to practically do anything, you know, to win in that moment. There's no referee to go, all right, break up, stop biting his ear off, stop trying to tear one of his toes off. You know, there's no one there to tell you that. And he does that well. Like his fighting style is a combination of boxing, dirty street fighting, Krav Maga, combined with him targeting pressure points on the body. Now, I think this is another point that I want to make as well. If you follow the army or the Marines or so on and so forth, you would know that fundamentally they do have their own kind of martial arts, but it adopts this kind of Krav Maga kind of Sambo judo technique where you're meant to disarm, throw a few punches, and that's it. And you see that style with Elliot, you know. So again, I want to praise that type of fighting style. And with Elliot, his fighting style, you know, he'll only kick if he needs to, you know, because he's in the show, his father was a boxer and he's a shot in the soldier. So he doesn't really like kicking, but if he has to in a sticky situation, he will do it. But, you know, and also the show depicts, another thing I love with Gareth Evans' work is that he depicts this survival horror element with it. As much as any of his films or anything of his TV shows are, he gives you another layer to the story, you know. And, you know, there's moments where people fight, and then there's moments where there's 10 other dudes and you're thinking, you're put in the same scenario setting and you're thinking, fuck, it's time to get the fuck out of it. You know, he plays really well on the fight aspect, but he plays really well on the flight. You know, when's the right time, right? I've got my shit off. it's time to get out of Dodge. But I'm going to conclude it and say this. Gangs of London, you have earned yourself a 10 out of 10. I loved it. There was possibly maybe one moment at the end of episode 9 that people talk about online. Yes, you could say, you could have a discrepancy with it, but it isn't enough to make me go, you know, well, that's going to be the thing that's going to take it from a 10 to a 9. I just think the work that just went into this was just absolutely insane. So guys, make sure in the comment section, let me know what is your favorite Gareth Evans movie, and let me know what are your top 5 episodes from Gangs of London. Mine, number 1, episode 4, number 2, episode 5, number 3, episode 1, episode number 4, episode 9, and then episode 5, episode 8. So guys, let me know what are your top 5 episodes in the comment section. And also, during June, I'm going to do my very best to review all of Gareth Evans' work, going from the very beginning. If I can find it, I'm going to try and watch his first ever movie called Footsteps. And then his documentary, Marintal, all of them, Apostle, VHS, the Raid franchise. And we're going to have the full gauntlet of Gareth Evans' content on the channel, because I think he's a brilliant filmmaker and people need to spread the work of how great he truly is. And another thing as well, you can watch Gangs of London on Sky Atlantic. If you've got a Sky Q box, you can watch it there. And if you've got NowTV, you can watch it there. So guys, thank you for watching. I know this has been a long video, but I need to get my enthusiasm and my passion for this TV show off my chest. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for Gangs of London, and I'll see you in the next review. Peace.